Hello everyone and welcome to Orange University. On tonight's episode, Selesnya Humans. This is a deck that I've been really curious about ever since way back in the days when they had just the Innistrad and the Midnight Hunt, or there's a Midnight Hunt, and Crimson Vow. That was the two sets that got released back to back. That was both half sets for whatever reason, and they released a lot of human cards. So back then, in Selesnya rather, a lot of Selesnya human cards. Back then, I always thought whether or not this deck was viable or not. And they got cards like Katilda to get us mana whenever we need. Also, protection on Werewolves pretty good against mirror decks that has Brutal Cathar. We also have the Hamlet Vanguard that is a human but also has Ward. And then when it enters the battlefield, it gets 2+1 counter for each other non-human I control, which makes it pretty big. We also have Torens, Fist of the Angel, which is just a small training, but we can get a pretty wide board after our opponent board wipes. And of course, Thalia is the one that makes everything kind of work together because Thalia on board tax a lot of our opponent's cards. We also had the Adeline released on the same set, so this is where I thought the deck was gonna go, but back then, there was not a lot of good early game cards, and a lot of people just rather play white human or blue-white humans, or blue-white soldiers. But with the release of the new set, we have Knight Errant of Eos, and I don't know why. I think I made a mistake here. Alright, so it's not the Secluded Courtyard that we wanted, it's the Cavern of Souls that we wanted. So when I imported a deck, that was the mistake that I made. So, the way we wanted to play this deck is with the Knight Errant of Eos to get us card draw whenever we need it, Cavern of Souls to make sure that our humans cannot get countered, and we can play either the green or the white mana into that whenever we need, and then the rest of the board is just very aggressive. In addition to that, we also have a new addition from the Enduring Bond Warden in the March of the Machines set, I think, that has a backup, and whenever this creature dies, put his counter on target creature we control. So basically we can kind of recycle with the creature to kind of push through damage whenever we need. That's kind of the idea of the deck. We don't really have any Cavern of Ixalan cards other than the Cavern of Souls, but hey, that's still a card that's pretty necessary against a lot of the deck that might seek to counter our big drops like Adeline, like Knight Errants. So here is the whole deck. Let's look at the deck list. In the early game, we got one drop in the Chaplain of Alms. First strike Ward 1, pretty good. And then whenever it dies, we can also disturb it back for a, was it 3 mana? For 4 mana. And then each other creature has Ward. So that kind of protects all of our creature against like a mono red deck, should that happen. And then we have 3 Enduring Bond Warden, just so that we can endure those Bond Wardens. I don't know how else to say it, but it's pretty good, because it has backup 1. So basically, when it enters the battlefield, you can already pump some creature, gets +1/+1. And then whenever any other creature is either, the Enduring Bond Warden or any other creature that we back up dies, we also can move those counters onto another creature. And then, of course, we have Hopeful Initiate. That's another human and a 1-drop. We got 4 Lunarch Veteran as a human and a 1-drop. And then 4 Recruitment Officer as a human and a 1-drop. We got a lot of humans in our 1-drop. And chances are we're not going to miss our 1-drop. Chances are, though. There's 16 1-drops, but knowing how shufflers work, sometimes we still hits or still miss. And then we got Intrepid Adversary to pump the whole board with the new, well, not the new, but the Adversary cycle in white. This is probably the best one. We also have 3 Thalia. We only have 3 Thalia. I know tax is very important, but the deck is pretty aggressive, and we really hate to have cards stranded in our hand. So if you draw a lot of Thalia, you can't really get any value out of multiple. We have 4 Katilda, though, because this is absolute must to help us get our mana out. All our human creatures can become mana dorks, and also we can tap 6, or we can pay 6 and tap it to put up some counter on each creature we control. So buff the whole board. We can do this at end turn, end of our opponent's turn, and then start swinging with a big heavy board. And then we got 2 Adeline, 2 Hamlet Vanguard, 2 Augur of Autumn, and 2 Torens, Fist of Angels. This is exactly what I copy from a lot of net deck lists. I think the 2 offs on each really give us a lot of dimensions to play in the deck, and it's not really so that one card is an end-all be-all. So we can either get very aggressive and very tall with Adeline. We can have a very warded up creature that's pretty big in Hamlet Vanguard. We can get card advantage from Augur of Autumns, and we can get board presence with Torens, Fist of Angels whenever we try to train a lot of creatures and cast a lot of creature spells. And then, of course, for Knight Errant of Eos to get late game card advantage by tapping our creatures to draw cards. That's insanely good for almost any aggro decks. And then for the land base, if you look at it, we don't have 22 lands because, of course, we're an aggro deck. We got 5 plains, 1 Igonjo, 4 Brushland, 4 Overgrown Farmland, 4 Razorverge Thicket, and then 4 Cavern of Souls. That's the whole deck list. So, I think it is a little bit more important to have Overgrown Farmland rather than having the Secluded Courtyards. Even though we can cast everything here, the Overgrown Farmland could beat the green or the white mana we need for part of the Catilda's activation cost, or it could be for part of the Recruitment Officer's activation cost, or part of the Hopeful Initiate's activation cost. So there are sort of small synergies that I believe the Secluded Courtyards are not as good, and since we have 4 Cavern of Souls, that might be justifiable, but we're going to play a few games and then adjust based on that. And of course, this is more or less a net deck. It's not entirely a net deck, but it's a lot of the cards are directly lifted off some list that I found online. And I really think Selesnya Human has a chance now. I'm not going to say it's better than Boros or Azorius because, of course, they all have their flair. And for Selesnya, the flair is Catilda. And I think having Catilda makes the deck a lot better towards the mid game because that gives us all the mana that we didn't think we had. But the Convoke cards already give us mana anyway, so this is where I'm still questioning whether or not this is great. And the problem I have a lot of time is this freaking land. We're gonna always get an opening hand, and we go first. But what are we gonna do? Play turn 1 and then not play turn 2? So we're gonna have to mulligan this hand. Do we mulligan this hand, or do we just hope for it to turn 2 drop and we don't have any lands? All right, you know what? I'm gonna throw this game just to learn, but I think that was not a good hand to keep. Also, the Overgrown Farmland makes me kind of sad. Having tap lands in your deck just means you're gonna draw it early game. Alright, well, our opponent's doing the rope thing. This is a good hand if we can draw a land, because Thalia does slow them down for a turn, and then all the other 3 mana cards kind of gets turned live, right? So, oh, that's not a land. So we got one more turn to do this. We either draw a land or we kind of lose. Esper, probably going to kill Thalia. Dennick doesn't kill Thalia. We don't draw a land. That's kind of a mana thing, but it's not a land. Also not a land. 3 mana up. Probably a counter spell. What are they going to counter though? You think he'll counter this? Then we'll have 2 mana left to not play anything, huh? I don't think he'll counter this, but he'll probably counter the Adeline. Can I attack with Thalia? I don't think I can attack with Thalia. Would he counter the Torrent though? I have 2 Torrents. Well, we kept a hand with 2 lands and we never draw another one. He let it go. That's kind of interesting. Well, Thalia is probably better being alive than dead. Or being untapped and tapped. Let's get the Hopeful Initiate out. And we also get Train with a Soldier. All in all, it's decent. He can't depopulate next turn with what we have unless he can kill Thalia. And if his hand's exactly kill spell to populate, that's a pretty good Esper control hand. And I think even if we had good draws, we might not be able to fight against that. So, we'll see. He's just roping now. Double training. I'm not going to attack into a Dennick. Go for the throw on Catilda after I get all my mana? Okay. It's a little late for that, and I think go for the throw on Thalia would have been better here. Who knows? He does tax my mana like hell, but... Razorverge Thicket. Okay, so... Torren can attack, he can block, and Torren will die. But he has a counter spell held up, right? So... He'll probably counter the Hamlet. It costs 3 to make disappear. Otherwise, it's a pretty big board. Urtai. Okay. I get to draw a card, which I don't hate as much. I still get this. And then this will train. He's gonna kill my Torren though, right? If he kills my Torren with the Denic, does that make me happy? Does it make me sad? I have a 2/3. I do have another Torrent though, but do I want to throw creatures away? This is just so bad. Had to do it at some point. He is highlighting a lot of cards. He's trading with a Hopeful Initiate. I wonder why, but he did it. Game 1, mana screwed, so that's a game for us. And also against an opponent that takes an hour for our turn. Gabby CBA. Might as well be CBD, because that's what he's on. I'm not happy about what's going on this turn, but hey, can't really stop it, so we'll see. The one Denic stops the whole board. That's also problematic. He's looking through our cards over and over. Does he have another counterspell? We can play another Torren. I feel like if he can counter this, we just die anyways. Right? I mean, I don't think we can come out of this alive. We are higher life, but the draws are atrocious. A bat? So are they Esper Legends? So they don't have 4 wipes in Esper Legends, right? 4 mana wedding announcement? Okay. This isn't great either. I feel like we can't kill the Denic. We're so far behind right now because we can't kill the Denic. And they were able to kill our Katilda. The Katilda is very important. If we had her on board, we would have a much heavier board. Alright, he's gonna go to 2. Finally we get Cavern of Souls. A little late for Lenny. I have to say that. What are we gonna get? Do they have a response to this? Do they have a response to Recruitment Officer? How could they? Urtai? Does Urtai count? Okay, he's just gonna let it happen. I guess we'll get a second Recruitment Officer out. Second Lunarch Veteran. Well, we can't counter this, so good luck. You should use the Earth Tide to counter anyways. Maybe I still draw a card. Just letting the rope out, huh? Yeah, these kinds of annoying. These kind of opponents are most annoying because they have the advantage, which makes me not want to play more. But they also are roping every turn, which just is awful. I hope they don't have Lore Wipes. They have Virtue, which is annoying, but hey, you know we can't stop a Virtue, right? If that's all they want to do. Just play their Virtue to pump their board. Yep. Attack with a bat. You can attack with more. And then we draw a land. We can only destroy one enchantment. Probably the Virtue. That's the scariest. But then there's still all 3/3s. Kind of just get wiped. Yeah, that's GG. That's annoying. We weren't drawing lands early game. And then we started drawing lands non-stop. But that's, you know, somehow I feel like that is the typical arena experience for us. Purple lead. Hello, opponent. How nice of you to go first while we have 2 overgrown farmlands and no 1-drops. 16 1-drops. Still 2 overgrown farmlands. Alright, we'll put an adversary back. How? Okay. I guess we really need our Augur. That's not a beanstalk. I feel like we're already behind too much. Oh, it's an Ivy deck. I have no removal in this deck against Ivy. Good luck. I'm gonna need it. I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this. Maybe block with an Ivy? Yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. This deck does not look primed to fight against that deck. Because all we're going to have left is a 1-1 and a 0-1. Probably a 2-2 and a 0-1, right? And then they're going to have all of those things. Now, the thing I do think I want to take out is that... are those tap lands. Oh my god. Somehow, they literally only come in our opening hand. They're just like, here's a tap land. You put it in your deck, right? You must want them. Secluded Courtyard. I don't think it matters, honestly. I do feel like currently... we are on Arena's bad side, and they are punishing us for that, for the draws that we get. How awful. Is the text on some card too small to read? I don't know. We're playing against Jinka. Opponent goes first. We got a 1-drop, but then no 2-drops. Is the problem with this deck no Skrelv? Well, I don't think we can fit any more 1-drops. Virtue. Alright, removal-centric deck, here we go. So they're going first, and they're going to remove every creature we play every turn. How do we fight against that? miss a land drop? They went first, right? I don't know. Did they miss a land drop? Interesting. So they're holding up a removal, probably. I think that's what they're trying to do, but do I want to draw 1-drops? This will just die. This will come in and Torren will die, right? On target creature, if that's another creature, also gains this ability. So they'll kill it, and then I don't get anything out of that. Should I pay? I think I should decline to pay. What would happen if that's a cut down if I pay? I'll decline to pay. Let me get some good cards. Katilda's a good card. Thalia is also a good card, but so is Augur. Do I have Coven? Thalia's a good card. Attacks him out a lot. So, also he knows that I'm going to tax him out a lot. So, he's going to have to do something and soon. Wedding announcement. He is mana screwed. He's going to have a white board. We will play Thalia Katilda. And also Enduring Bond Warden. I think that's a good call. I will put a +1/+1 counter on here. See what he wants to kill. Training everybody. Actually, he can't kill this. He can kill the 3/1 with the 1/1. That's what he really wants. I don't really care about the adversary. Already on the cusp of dead. Now our board is... It's a board. See, I know Selesnya has a chance of doing things like this. It takes our opponent from being mana screwed to actually shine. Hey, if it works, if it's dumb and it works, it's not dumb. Is that how the saying goes? If only we get to go first with 1-drops, that would be a different game. Oh, here we go. Going first with 1-drop. Let's see if I am not a liar. Officer. Brah. A blue-white mana, and then a Skrelv. Well, little Skrelv, I hope you're ready for... I mean, I'm gonna have a bunch of 0/1s. Is he gonna play a Thalia? I can still attack through a Thalia. Valiant Veteran. No attacks. The top deck land. That's not fun, huh? I can play the adversary, but that's actually bad because then I don't get to pump my Bond Warden. He's taking the damage. I'm gonna fake like I have a Gonjo. I don't. Soldiers. What could he have? Could it be a Brutal Cathar? I mean, you can attack me. I'm not gonna block you too soon. Okay. Only draw land so far. We have not gotten a non-land card. He's probably gonna block our at 1-2, right? He's got a Ganjo, okay. I mean, yeah. Watch us top deck the 4th land in a row. That would be a game. No attacks. Coward. Alright, so if we attack here, the Valiant Veteran will block one. Would that be too big of a deal? Do I need to deal that 1 extra damage? I don't think I do, but let me play the Recruitment Officer. See what he wants to do. And then I'll just pass turn. Sure. Resolute Reinforcement. I'm not happy to see that, but at least it's not something too scary. Okay, Zephyr Sentinel is definitely very annoying, but we're at 18. Let's hope he doesn't burst us out in 1 attack. Yeah, so far all we got were lands and then 1 Recruitment Officer. That's what made it kind of bad. Attack, okay. He's letting this happen. What can we get? A Boar Pump. That's a Boar Pump. That's a war, though. That's a Boar Pump that he cannot stop. I think it's pretty good. Alright, let's get the Secluded Courtyard down. I have enough to pay it twice. I wonder what he has, because the Auto is already out. And the Zephyr Sentinel really can't stop us. So, what would be... Because his counter spells are dead. And what is in that deck that can stop this? Otawara and Ganjo are both out. Now comes the Rope. Okay. Sure. Can't be countered. Turn him sideways. You can double block, but he will die from the double block. Yep. Okay. I gain a lot of life, and he takes 6. I don't know if that was a good plan, but... Opponent can do, opponent does. He's at 4. I still have a 4/3 Recruitment Officer. Wow, okay. That's... I did not expect that. I guess you can try to get lifelink out of that. But it still gets tapped. They'll go to 7. He'll go to 7. And what else can he do with 7 mana? Alright, quit. G to the G. Alright, that's Selesnya Human. We were able to beat soldiers without neither of us really missing a beat, but they had some weird tech that probably lost them the game because of that. I think this deck, looking back at it, I do think this deck is probably tier 2, if not tier even 2.5. Some of the cards are great when they hit, they're just not that great when they don't hit, and there's so many chances for them not to hit, especially in a game where you almost never go first. Right, this is my problem with aggro on Arena, and I say it every time, is that aggro decks are good if you get to go first half the time. But on Arena, you get to go first about 10%, so your deck is only good 10% of the time. The other 90%, you kind of have to claw back from there. So, you know, take it as whatever you have for, you know, whether or not you want to do that. But that is a consideration you should make whenever you decide on making a deck. This deck, although, is very rare light. I mean, there's some rares in there, but of course, for you to have fun on Arena, you need to have rares. It's just, it's not as heavy on rares. The 4 Caverns are mythic, so you do have to think about that. But I think at this point, everyone has 4 Caverns. The rest of the deck is very fast, very synergistic, and there are a lot of dimensions to play where you have to think about, am I going to use my Katilda to pump? Am I going to use it to cast creatures? Am I going to play Knight Errants for a big Convoke? Or am I going to play Knight Errants by paying mana and only convoke for like 2? Right? And that is a lot of small considerations you have to make that still could win you or lose you the game. So overall, the Selesnya Human deck, I would give my MEH stamps approval. Like, meh, you can play it. It definitely is another human deck. And if this is what you like, getting a white board, this does look fun. It does call to the Selesnya Angel days on back in the old Kaldheim Mythic, or Kaldheim standard, but also the current Pioneer Explorer Angels, right? It's kind of like that, but of course not as fast or not as good. But in Standard, I think this can have legs. If you like this kind of style to play, I do recommend maybe cutting a Torren, adding another Thalia, or maybe even cutting the Hamlet Vanguards. I've never seen it really come out in any of these games and have high impact. Maybe putting 2 Scrums. I think that might have even higher impact to protect Katilda. Because first game where we lost, I think we lost because we lost to Katilda. If she was still in play, we can pump the whole board, and that would be a different story, right? So that might be another consideration. And maybe Chaplain of Alms could be another Scrolf instead. And that's what I would recommend a change. Of course, the crazy thing about the 4 Cavern of Souls and the 4 Secluded Courtyard is that, well, everything's human, so it's still fine to name those. But the problem with that is you cannot use them to activate cards like Katilda on the Recruitment Officer, or even on the other one I was playing before, the Intrepid Adversary, right? That's also, that costs a white mana. Come on. Put it here. That costs a white mana right here. And that's something that you cannot forget. We almost forgot on the last game, and I had to really think about, do I have enough white mana after I cast the Intrepid Adversary? And if I didn't, I would not have won that game. So be a little bit careful with your mana base. Right now I have 8. You know, these are kind of the weird lands, but that is what it is. You can also cut the Hamlet Vanguard and even the Augur of Autumn for 4 Brutal Cathar, and that would just play a lot like the current version of all the white human decks. And you do have removal in that case, just a lot less burst. Well, to each his own. That's all I got for you today. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you guys next time.